In the year 100 AID, it had been nearly 100 years since the end of the catastrophic 30-year crisis, and under the reigns of the preceding monarchs of the Jujuk Tubevelk had regained most of its wealth and power, which continued under the reign of Buju V. This, however, would come with the introduction of a big problem, which was the fact a once small pirate fleet under the lead of Akiko, but now her fleet had started to grow to a point that it started to become a serious issue. But Buju thought it wasn't something to worry about, since many pirates had tried and failed to do this in the past. Akiko ended up taking control of the Kipon Islands by 105 AID, just like Pihinti did centuries earlier. Buju quickly learned from this avoidable mistake and sends a fleet with her two eldest grandsons Rilki and Kilna, and the Keriki send a fleet to fight. The coalition fleet spends a whole year searching for Akiko's fleet, since Akiko's fleet kept avoiding battle with the coalition fleet and attacking any towns that could help the fleet. But eventually, in 106, the two fleets met and a naval battle proceeded. Despite being outnumbered, Rilki's fleet was able to put up a fight, launching arrows, ramming ships, and fighting on ship decks. This continued all the way into the night. At this point, Akiko's fleet was starting to wane, so Akiko's ship attempted to flee the battle, but unbeknownst to her, Rilki's ship had taken advantage of the darkness and rammed her ship and boarded it. And after a bloody battle on the ship's deck, all the pirates on board were killed, including Rilki killing Akiko himself. But it is unknown if this happened during the battle or via a traditional execution. But whatever the method that was used, the pirate fleet was annihilated, and all members were given a hero's welcome, especially Rilki. And all this glory would go to the young man's head, which would fester for decades. Several decades later, in 157 AID, Rilki is now king, and is known as Rilki I or Rilki the Glorious. But he is also haunted by the nostalgia of the war with Akiko, and was desperate to recreate the glory of his youth. So in order to do this, he chose the nuclear option and started a war with the Alzium kingdom of Monindos, which would become known as the Glory War. This war started with the Battle of Gostada, which began with his army of thousands of men charging head-on into their enemies, since Rilki wanted to display the power of the Jujuk army, also because he was never good at the tactic of subtlety. But since the Monindosians were in prepared positions, the Jujuk army took heavy casualties, but ended up winning, mostly through overwhelming numbers. From there, the battered army continued to march toward the capital of Bashtan-Inta, but got continually pushed back due to hit-and-run tactics, which bogged them down for 3 years. This got worse. Many troops and generals inevitably defected. With the defectors' help, the Jujuk army got rapidly pushed back into Jujuk territory. The defection of his forces made the already mad Rilki I even more mad, and now paranoid, which resulted in Rilki killing anyone he suspected of trying to betray him, and over the next 5 years resulted in the death of thousands of soldiers, generals, and even civilians. And to everyone, it made it seem like Rilki was fighting his own people rather than the enemy. This resulted in a group of generals coming together to plan to kill Rilki and place his son, also named Rilki, on the throne. This would be known as the Conspiracy of the Blade. But after months of planning, Rilki discovered the conspiracy and arrested all of the conspirators, and gave them a sham trial, and their bodies were thrown down the river. This act only made Rilki more unpopular, since the sham trial was against Jujuk law, and dumping their bodies down the river violates the traditional practice of burial. So in the next year, while on campaign to push back Monindosian forces, Rilki's advisor Kinta dabs Rilki in the back, killing him. After the death of Rilki I, his son, Rilki the Younger, ascends to the throne and becomes king, and his first action is to end the war with the kingdom of Monindos and punish Kinta, because even though he didn't like his father, he still didn't want it to seem like a crime like that would go unpunished. But after this, Rilki II started to right the wrongs of his father's reign.